Welcome to Tech Tuesday. My name is Abby Ritchie, and I am the founder and CEO of Senior Savvy, which relieves tech stress for older adults. But you can find me right here every Tuesday where I'm on Foresight TV interviewing folks in senior living that have their hands in tech innovation. Speaking of senior living, I want to invite you to join us at the Evolve 2022 conference, which is starting April 5th, and be part of the discussion of how you can increase resources and support life engagement and enrichment teams. Evolve is made possible because of our sponsors, and we have IN2L, Care Center Stage, Serona TV, Quilt, Total Brain Health, Pocketbook Memory, and Photavia. If you want more information, head to the Senior Living Foresight website. Now, before I introduce today's wonderful guests, I'm going to go ahead and play Welcome, my special guest. I'm going to go ahead and introduce you. Today we have with us Mark Schultz, who is the Executive Director at Revel Ranchera, which is in Reno, Nevada. And I also have with you someone who's dear to my heart because she lives here in my backyard, Miss Farah Gold McLaughlin. She's a resident at Revel Legacy. And today we're going to talk about the tech integration that's occurring within the Revel communities. So welcome, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Well, I do have the opportunity of spending time with Farah because we're neighbors, and she's been telling me about some of the tech integrations and innovation that residents at Revel have. And that got me started thinking about having someone like you on, Mark, to talk about that. But first, I want to ask you, Farah, why Revel? Why did you choose to live at Revel?
Well, as a senior living executive, I felt that I could no longer talk about how great senior living is and also support my fully retired husband. And we decided to totally lean in, and I challenge other executives. This is going to be one of those challenges to seniors housing executives to ask themselves, would you live in your community, or what community would you live in? And so my husband had seen a Revel community out of Las Vegas area about 4 years ago. He said, I want to live there. And when I asked why, felt like he would be represented as an engineer. He valued that the Wolf investors and the Wolf developers also saw us as tech savvy, or at least built that into their communities. And so we are founders of the Revel Legacy, which is in North Scottsdale, and we will soon be moving in, but we've felt integrated as a part of the founders of the first 50 residents to make deposits and make commitments to make that our home.
Wonderful. Thank you. And Mark, why Revel? Why have you been at Revel for the past 3 years?
I've been in the senior living industry my whole career. I haven't known anything else. I started in nursing homes and worked in assisted living, home health. I've gone into the tech space for senior living. And I saw this community coming available in Reno, and I saw what they were going to do. And I said, I need to be part of that because I think it's the new wave. And, we've been really just pushing the envelope and trying to change what senior living looks like. It's not like it used to be even 5 years ago. And it's not going to be the same as it is today in 5 years. And we have to keep evolving. And that's something that I see Revel doing, is looking, what's the next thing? What do we need to do? And we're always looking at the future, and that's motivating for me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So tell me, on the spectrum of technology, what are some tech innovations at Revel that have got you really excited?
Well, I'm pretty lucky. I got to reach out and select the resident engagement platform that we use here at Revel. And I just love it because I just love bringing technology to seniors and getting them on it and just seeing them succeed. And that resident engagement program has really, streamlined every piece of operation, but brought our residents into being able to have everything at their fingertips. No longer do they have to go to the front desk and ask for a calendar or what's on the menu or I want to schedule a ride. They can do all of it from the comfort of their apartment on a smart device or a computer. And that's really been instrumental. We can send messaging. In Farah's situation, we can actually engage them before they even move into the community because they can see everything that's happening. And for those open communities, they can say, oh, there's a yoga class on Thursday. I'm going to come and join that. And they can sign up as a waitlister or depositor. It's just absolute. It's really brought the community into your community. So you're no longer just a building. You actually are bringing everybody in. And I just love that. And that just makes me really excited. My favorite thing is when a family comes in and they sit down and I say, well, do you have a smartphone? And the family says, oh, well, she doesn't use it. Don't even try. I go, well, we'll have this conversation in 2 weeks after she moves in and she's gone to our tech classes. She'll be using it, I bet. 99% of the time, the residents grasp that idea. They sit in the bar and they talk about it at happy hour. They help each other out. It's great. You just have to get them started and let them know that, yeah, there's going to be hangups, but we all learn. We all learned it at some point. So
I love that. I love a lot of what you just said. Really resonates with me. I know it does with Farah as well, and probably with many of our viewers, because we all know that with residents or with my clients, you just have to give them a little bit of information, a little bit of confidence, and a tiny bit of hand-holding in the beginning. And then they feel comfortable, they feel empowered, they're, confident to continue to learn. And Farah, it reminded me of a post that you put on LinkedIn recently about other residents at your community using their technology. And do you want to speak to that?
It was the most delightful social. So we have this incredible cocktail party, and I was sitting across two residents that like to say, I'm your mom's age, Farah. We're so excited you're moving in. They're going to tell their adult children. And they looked exactly like my mother with their smartphones in front of them. Mm-hmm. They were documenting, they were taking photographs of the cocktail party, and they both were sharing them with their loved ones. So again, in my role as an executive, also as a professor, an adjunct professor at Boston University, I teach residents' journey and experience. And this is our last ism, ageism, where even in our American culture, we look at somebody like me with gray hair at 61 years old and think, well, they're not vital anymore. I'm probably the most vital person most people meet. Teaching, finishing a master's, working full-time, being an active grandmother and daughter. So let's not assume today, if you're an executive listening, that your residents aren't capable. My mother at 82 uses FaceTime, uses Zoom. She teaches a course as a mindfulness instructor around the country. So again, we have these examples, and it has residents peer-to-peer. So if there's a resident, we know there are, just like Mark said, that peer-to-peer support, and as well as professional like you, Abby, in your sector, and then Mark as an adopter, is a leader. We know we can bring someone that may not be as astute with technology, and they want to be a part of the club with their friends.
Yeah, they do. And we've all seen that when there's a desire to connect with family and friends, that there will be a higher or a larger willingness to learn, for sure. We've all seen, technology and the adoption of technology just go through the roof in the past couple of years, right? And, there's one sector, though, I do want to talk about. So when I'm working with my clients one-on-one and they want to start using Lyft or Uber, there tends to be an adoption in using this technology that's really challenging. And Revel, though, has a way of managing this and coordinating it. Mark, can you tell us more about how ride sharing or using Lyft and coordinating rides for residents works at your community, please?
Absolutely. At Revel, we've adopted the Lyft concierge program. And so each one of our communities has a Lyft concierge program. And our concierge that are actually at the front desk, they are able to schedule and manage rides on Lyft. It takes away the scary part of having to go into the app and making sure that you've selected the right place and did you get the right car and who's going to know where I'm at. With our Lyft concierge, we schedule, we decide, we put in the address, we add the resident's phone number, and all the resident has to worry about is finding the car. We can tell them what's the license plate, what's the driver's name, the color. They can get in the car, go on their ride. When they're ready to come back, they call the front desk, and we schedule a return ride. We tell them who's coming to pick them up, and all of this is getting text to them as well, without them having to go onto the app. It's really been a lifesaver because, in the media lately, we've had a lot of scares, like this Uber ride or this Lyft driver did X, Y, and Z. And we get to actually manage that ride and see exactly where they are in the city. I can see that they're right around the corner and they're almost getting dropped off. It's just so slick. And we can see all of our rides, where they went, help them with lost items. It is absolutely a lifesaver for us.
And is it built into a resident platform or is it an add-on to something?
It's actually a standalone. So it's really, you log in to, it's called Lyft Concierge. And it's a standalone that you just keep up in your on maybe a second monitor at the front desk. And you can watch your rides while you're managing everything else on your right-hand screen. It's actually really useful. I fell in love with it. We used it a lot when we were starting to lease up. We had some residents that didn't want to drive to the sales office. And we were able to contact Lyft, pick them up, bring them to the sales office. We knew where they were. And it was just absolutely great. Once you multiply that times 165 residents, it's invaluable.
So tell me, because I've never seen it before, but I'm very curious. So someone at your front desk, like your concierge, is entering the information that the resident calls in for?
They can call it in. They can stand at the front desk and get an immediate ride. They can call it in through the phone if they don't want to use our resident engagement software. Or we actually, in our resident engagement software, have a tile that says transportation. And they can make their request up to 45 days in advance. Oh, yeah. And then as we see that come through, we schedule that ride and we confirm it. If they cancel it, they can do that all digitally on their smartphone. And then on the day of their ride, it shows in their dashboard that they have a ride scheduled and what time. It's perfect.
Awesome. Yeah, I love that. Anything you can do to help your residents be more independent and continue to allow them to get out and see family and friends, make appointments, without feeling bound to where they live is just huge. And I think that it's not only a matter of independence, it's also a matter of safety, right? And so, and of protecting our environment. I know for Farah, giving up her car was a matter of reducing her carbon input, right? Farah, you mentioned
absolutely. That. My husband and I really, as futurists, where we're looking at, the climate change debate, and we said, let's give our car to our youngest son. So we have a son in Dallas, and it was perfect. So we said, let's just do our ride sharing. We got to Scottsdale. And one of the things that we love the most is that we don't have the burden of driving. We get to look out the window and enjoy the beauty of the desert, enjoy the beauty of our environment. And then, of course, with Revel saying that this was built in as part of our rent, as part of the value of our lifestyle and experience, it made it even better for us. And so today, when I look at operators that are challenged maybe with residents that want to keep their car, to be able to help someone move towards something instead of giving something up, we really looked at ride sharing as the future of our valuable lifestyle and the safety you talked about, Abby. And then knowing that Mark is an administrator, if we go out for dinner or if we go to a doctor's appointment, someone has their eyes on us.
Yeah.
That gives us a reassurance at our age, and certainly with my husband, that someone knows where we are. And that's important to our children and everyone. So it fills in so many needs. And I think Revel's really onto something by making this a part of the lifestyle for residents.
100%. Yeah, it's so good to hear. And so now I want to talk about some other tech innovations. What are some other things that you're doing, Mark, that you think are just amazing that you want to share with the rest of us?
One of the things that we do here at Ranchero is we are a smart community. All of our apartments are smart. We have voice activation. And it's kind of like saying, Alexa, turn on the lights, but we say something else. I'm in a model apartment. So if I say the word, it will actually light up and turn my lights off. So I can't say it, but Casper is always listening to me and I can tell it what to do. And, that's another one of those things of where families or residents are like, I'm never going to use that. I just don't even want that. Mm-hmm. And the first time that it goes down, if it's not operating there, the first one's at the front desk saying, my Casper's not working. I need it to work. When is it going to work? And it's so funny. It just goes back to that whole thing of where everybody thinks, oh, seniors are not going to learn. Well, our residents are PhDs, they're attorneys, they've had careers. They've been learning their whole lives. Why would they stop now? Especially with all these things to make their life so much easier and convenient. And so we've really embraced that. And it's something that it's at first you're like, oh, I don't know, but it's really kind of cool. You walk into a room, your lights turn off, it turns them off. So it's more environmentally sound, but you can actually ask it what the weather is. It'll tell you. It is integrated with Alexa. So you could actually set it up with an Alexa and do your shopping and do everything that you did from your home, except we manage all of that here. So I just really, I like that. It's just such a great way to bring people in and get them used to the technology here.
I agree. Now I want to ask you something, because at some communities, they are using an Alexa device. But even though the device is inside the resident's home, they can't add skills to it, or they can't program it, or really change it so that it works for them. Is the one within your device or your community, can you customize it, or can a resident customize it individually?
Absolutely. In our communities, Alexa just lays on top of Casper. So what happens is you bring in your Alexa and it operates just as if you were using Alexa in your home today or wherever you have it. It's your device. You can do anything you want with it. And it just ties in. So you, instead of saying Casper, you'd say, hey, Alexa, turn on the lights. And it would automatically integrate with Casper and manage your smart switches in your apartment. So it's really the best of both worlds because it's running your apartment, but then it's also, you're still able to shop. You're still able to do anything you were able to do in your own private home.
So cool. Yeah. I love that. And I love the fact that the residents can customize it, because it's one thing to have it in there. It's another thing to have it and not be able to use it the way you want to use it. And I know that that's been really frustrating for a lot of my clients who have been introduced to that technology. And additionally, I love to suggest a smart plug for lights, for instance, so that when you get out of bed in the middle of the night, that you can ask your digital assistant to turn on the light for you, right? And to tell you what time it is, for instance. So I really believe that helps reduce falls that can occur from nighttime visits, right, to the bathroom. So, yeah.
Absolutely.
Great.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. And I'm just curious, how do you find out about new technologies that you introduce at your community?
Well, you're always just looking. For me, it's using technology, and the more you use it, the more you say, oh, what is this? What's happening here? You have to always be taking a look. My wife is in the technology business as well, and so she's always telling me, did you see this? And I was like, oh, I want to look at that. And then I'm always telling her, did you see that? And she's like, ah. And so I really do a lot of bouncing off with my wife. But, I've always loved it my whole life. And it was one of those things that when I came into senior living out of college, I had to bring in my own computer to use because the nursing homes didn't even have computers. Everything was done on paper. And I was like, this isn't going to work. There's a better way. And so I would bring my own devices in to make my life easier. And I just kept pushing, and just continuing to learn. If I have CEUs I have to take, and there's a technology piece, I'll take the technology piece. One of the best ways that I continue to learn, though, is I teach what we call Tech Cafe every Monday in our theater for all of our residents. And this is a time for them to come down to the theater with their devices, and we talk about what questions do people have with tech. And what I do is I learn something new every single week from my residents asking. And they'll ask me a question, and if I don't know it, we just Google it and we learn it together. So I'm always learning about new technology. I don't have an Apple Watch, and every resident keeps telling me, when are you going to get your Apple Watch? And finally, I think it's time I got to do it. And because I can't keep preaching it, it's kind of like Farrah.
Right.
Pretty soon, I'm going to have to start using the devices if I'm going to promote them. So
that's right. That is right. Yeah, it's so funny because I started wearing this Apple Watch almost 3 years ago. I really only got it because I knew that some of my clients would be using it for fall detection, and I had to learn how to use it. And what happened was I fell in love with it, and now it's the only one that I will wear. So yeah, I think you may have to, loop that into a Father's Day gift or something, Mark.
Absolutely.
We've got a birthday coming up, right?
We have a lot of Apple Watches here, and they're buying the ones that are linked with cellular, and they don't even carry their phones anymore. You have these people walking around talking to their wrist. It's so funny here, and they're in the dining room and in the restaurant, just talking on their phones. And I really promote them for fall detection. In Revel Communities, we don't have pull cords because we want it to look more like your home. And there's so much other technology, i.e. the Apple Watch. And we've seen it work here in our community with our residents. It's detected their falls, and the EMTs have arrived. We didn't even know. It saved lives. I cannot stress enough how great the Apple Watch is just for that safety piece. And then it does everything else. Yeah. It is just, I don't work for Apple. I don't even have Apple stock, but I buy all Apple products because it's just so easy. And I would say 75% of our residents all use Apple products here. Other 25% Android. So.
Yep. I find that too. Yep, absolutely. About 90% of my clients are using Apple devices. And then there's the 10% who are really frustrated. No, I'm kidding. Yes. And so I wanted to ask you now, what technology do you have your eyes on for integrating in your community?
What do I have my eyes on? I would like to get more. That's a tough one. I don't think I'm ready to actually talk about that piece, but I would like to have more virtual reality in senior living. I think that is really going to become the wave of the future. One of the things that we've implemented in our communities is mirror fitness on the wall. And we allow our residents to go into a private room and utilize that mirror by themselves and take an exercise class, weights, yoga, and they can run on their own pace. And it's really nice because it's private. And if they're embarrassed to be with the rest of the group, they can go in there and do that. And so going more toward that virtual reality piece, I think is going to be really key. You hear about it in the news, and we're going to have to start doing it. I'm not saying remember Wii bowling was huge in senior living there for a while. We're way beyond that. We need to get in with the future and get some virtual reality goggles. Everything's going to go that way, I believe. Google Glass. Remember Google Glass? That was such a cool technology, and the media totally made it negative. Boy, I wish I would have been able to get that going, because can you imagine just having it right there? It's kind of like the AirPod, right? I never had those until recently. those things are great. All of this new technology, but we have to start thinking outside the box. We can't keep thinking, oh, well, that's not possible, or we didn't do that. We've sent people to the moon.
Yes.
Anything is possible, right?
Yes, you are so right. And sometimes it's just a matter of trying something out and giving alternatives to it. So for instance, the AirPods are amazing, and Farrah's wearing them right now. They're amazing, but then there are going to be a lot of people who are not going to want to put anything in their ears. Mm-hmm. And, in a workshop I teach on accessories for music streaming, we talk about other types of headphones like bone conduction, for instance, that rest on your cheekbones. So if you want to be able to hear what's going on around you, but also hear your music or hear a podcast, you can do that without having to put anything inside your ears. And, I always like to teach people that there are alternatives to wireless. And if finding and creating a wireless connection like via Bluetooth is a challenge, let's give you some other alternatives so you can keep in doing the things that you love doing, like listening to music and or just walking outside while you're listening to music or a podcast.
I think that really comes back to the communities. People, what I say to somebody who moves in, as soon as we get done with all the lease signing, and then I just look at them and I say, now remember, Farrah, now that we've done all of this, remember, if it seems hard, something's wrong. You're coming here to make things easy for you. And so if it feels difficult or hard, please come see us. We'll help you. And everybody helps with anything, with the remote for AT&T or connecting that Bluetooth device. But like you said, Abby, there are so many things out there, and really sitting down and understanding what's important to the individual and then going after that technology is so important.
Yeah, you are really passionate, and it is wonderful to see that. And it's contagious, isn't it, Farrah? Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, we know most of our viewers are operators. So for an operator to hear your perspective, Mark, and then, a lot of operators too might say, oh, that Revel, they're for high end or high net worth people. But what I really heard you say, and what I hope the viewers are going to take away too, even if you're a middle market operator, that use of technology is going to make you valuable, especially in our caregiving shortage right now, so that it's not a replacement of people, but it's an added value to the resident experience that ultimately is more efficient and effective. And I heard that from you today, Mark. And that's the reason, my husband and I chose Revel, because of that adoption, willingness to adopt. And I'm excited. I'm excited for your community. I'm certainly excited for mine.
And it really has to be pushed by senior leadership. If the administrator or the executive director of the community doesn't push it, it's not going to go anywhere. And, I've spent a lot of time in Medicaid buildings, in Title 19 buildings, and they have the technology the same as my people at Revel. You can get them at Walmart. Everybody has it. It doesn't have to be the next greatest MacBook Pro or whatever. You can get plenty of devices out there that this is going to happen in all of our markets. We cannot say it's for the high end only. We have to really look. This is what we need to do. And our seniors need it. And that's what's going to help keep them connected to their families and not give them something else to think about. For all of you operators out there, give them something else to do. It doesn't have to be bingo and art classes.
That's right.
Right.
Well, and that's why Abby is such an amazing contributor with Steve Moran's Real Foresight brand, and all of the partners that are part of our multimedia platform to help operators find solutions. And, it's been an honor to be a part of the conversation today.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much. I want to ask you kind of a fun question. So Mark, tell me, and Farrah, tell me, when you do get a new toy in the mail that comes, do you just tear it open, or are you you read the instruction line by line? What do you do, Mark?
Oh, I'm a man, so I don't read instructions. I didn't even know they were in the box. That's what I like about Apple products is you don't have instructions usually. I tear it open and just start using it. Because I'm usually excited about it, and I've done research, so I'm like, I got to do this and this and this and this.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Farah, how about you?
I'm the same way. I love that Mark's talking about, and I think that if we can offer our residents a similar experience, this
Mhm.
whole unboxing, whole unwrapping, we can put the bow on it in operations. We can put the bow on that box and make it lots of fun. And then, of course, I live with an engineer who will
Mhm.
then get very linear and he will read, which I love about him is he's an Android user,
Yeah.
right? So he's that 10% because I'm an Apple devotee, but he gets out those instructions. So again, talk about resident engagement. We could do that every single day in across our seniors housing operations and offer residents something new every single day. And that's why I'm so excited to be here with Abby. You bring new, support, ideas. Mark, you're integrating it. Again, just to be here in the conversation is so engaging. And every day residents will want this same opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you guys so much. I had a dreamy time with both of you, just listening and, participating in all that you're doing. And Mark, thank you for bringing the enthusiasm. I absolutely love it. And I'm just going to bid you all a farewell and have a wonderful week. Thank you for joining us
Thank
on
you.
Tech Tuesday. You're welcome. And I'm going to go ahead and play my outro and see you all again next week.